As a Boise State Public Radio listener, we're inviting you to share your opinions about technology in our annual survey about how you use the radio, social media, smartphones, tablets, streaming, and the web to stay connected. We hope you'll find it to be an interesting way to reflect on your own changing habits. Please take a few moments to participate, and thanks for helping Boise State Public Radio plan for the future. Take the survey now at boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. The Claremont Fire has burned almost 7,000 acres in and above the Boise Foothills. The fire started July 6th, and as of today, it is only 57% contained. Now, a patchwork of trails are closed for safety, and officials are pleading with Foothills users to stay off the burn trails and respect those closures. Lisa Duplessis is the Foothills and Open Space Superintendent at City of Boise Parks and Rec. And we wanted to check in with her for an update on all of this. Lisa, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks, Gemma. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Lisa, people think of the Boise Foothills as really, I think a lot of times just one single space, but isn't it really, as I mentioned, kind of a patchwork quilt of chunks of land that are owned or managed by several different entities?
It definitely is. So I think Bridge to Rivers is our kind of agency that we call it. And I think we've done a really great job having a seamless experience for trail users out in our foothills. But Bridge to Rivers is definitely a multi-agency patchwork. So we work with BLM, Forest Service, Fish and Game, Ada County, and then the city works as the lead agency on the trail system. But it is definitely a patchwork. And then in between all of that, we have private landowners with easements as well. So while we've done a great job to create a seamless experience, I think it's really important for people to understand how many different agencies and different kind of cooks in the kitchen, if you will, are out there working on different issues that come up in the foothills.
And Lisa, my understanding is you were just recently up in the foothills, correct? Surveying some of the damage from the fire. Can you kind of walk us through what you saw?
So I wasn't actually out on the trails. We have BLM has updated their closure to go through August 1st. So all the trails are closed from 8th Street to Rocky Canyon Road. And I was actually up Mountain Cove Road, just trying to kind of see what signage we have out there and kind of how the communication is working for people. And we have run into a couple different mountain bikers who I think, in all honesty, I think people are trying to do the right thing. They maybe don't understand. And so, when you said we're kind of pleading to get people to understand to really stay off the trails, that is what the message is today for sure.
And my understanding is that the Claremont Fire has burned in some of the foothills that are managed by the city of Boise. Do you know, can you kind of describe where that is?
Yeah, so it started kind of back between Hulls Gulch and Military Reserve and has worked kind of northeast, if you will. And so, yeah, it has definitely affected city property, BLM property, private landowner property. It's definitely a puzzle board of different landowners that have been affected by the fire.
So you mentioned the trail closures. Can we kind of take a deeper dive into that? I mean, so what kind of trail closures are we seeing right now in the foothills? Yeah. I mean, I guess the other question is, go ahead.
No, yeah, so BLM has issued a closure, and essentially all of our trail system trails are closed from 8th Street to Rocky Canyon Road. If you go to our interactive map on the Ridge to Rivers website, we actually have an overlay of the fire perimeter as well as what trails are closed. You'll very easily be able to see in red what's closed. There were some trails that were lifted this morning, and those are now open on the map as well. But you'll very easily be able to see what area is closed. And, those trails are closed for a number of reasons. Safety for just people out using the trails. There were fire suppression activities, whether it was a dozer line or bridges that may be out or, fallen fence debris. If you're out on that trail, you're not sure what you're going to encounter. And we haven't been able to be out there to assess or to repair or fix anything that's out there. So, that's one of the big reasons. Also, just the landscape itself is super vulnerable right now. If there were to be thunderstorms that come this afternoon, the way that water runs off a burn scar is very different. So, and just also maintaining access for our fire personnel to be able to get up and down as they need to. We just want to keep people out of that area as much as possible. So yeah, the closure from 8th Street to Rocky Canyon Road, all of those trails, and that is through August 1st currently. It could go longer, but BLM has it listed through August 1st right now.
So let's talk about rehabilitation, because the foothills are going to need to be rehabilitated after this fire. And this is often a long and complicated process. So can you talk about what happens after a fire is out and why it's so important for the community to respect whatever, closures and things like that are going on during the rehabilitation process?
Yeah, the rehabilitation process is a whole kind of secondary step to this. It's interesting. We had a phone call this morning, and again, you talk about different patchwork of agencies. This is a number of agencies that may deal with it differently. We're trying to kind of come up with a plan altogether. That being said, the fire's not even out yet. So this is something that we've unfortunately dealt with before, whether it was the fire last year or the Table Rock fire 10 years ago. And it takes a whole team of people to kind of decide what the best prescription is, if you will. There may be some areas that we really try and work on invasive species not coming back. There may be other areas where we need any type of vegetation in the ground to really help with water runoff. So it's definitely conversations that are starting to be had, but it is a large and kind of complicated process.
So Lisa, I only have about a minute left with you. What can folks do right now to help out?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do, honestly, is stay off the trails. There are other options. Head over to Polecat, go to Hawkins, head west, go to some of those trails that are open. But really, the number one thing people can do right now is to stay off those trail closure areas. And we will keep our interactive map updated as quickly as we can once we find out from BLM and different agencies. That's really going to be your go-to area to see what trails are open and closed. And then once we get in the rehab spot, there will be, opportunities for volunteers to come up and help us, whether it's plant sagebrush or do different things. But right now, the biggest message is just to stay off those closed trails.
Well, Lisa, really appreciate you coming in. I know how busy you are, especially with everything going on with the Claremont Fire. So thanks for taking time for us today.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Jim.
We've been speaking with Lisa Duplessis. She is the Foothills and Open Space Superintendent at the City of Boise Parks and Recreation. We've been talking about the Claremont Fire in the Boise Foothills and how important it is for everyone to stay off those closed trails right now as the fire continues to get contained. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Idaho Matters. And for quick news of the day, start your mornings with our podcast. It's called The Connector, Idaho Daily News. Find this and other Boise State Public Radio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now.
Love Boise State Public Radio podcasts? They are free to enjoy, but not free to produce. If you can give, your support helps keep shows like Idaho Matters and Scandalize available to everyone. Donate now at boisestatepublicradio.org.